All right, not too far from the Quad Cities, just up 61, you'll find Maquoketa. And when you're in Maquoketa, my recommendation to you would be to visit Maquoketa Brewing. Mark, this place is incredible.
Thanks. We're really happy with it.
I got to get started with what this space was before it was this gorgeous place. I mean, when you walk in the door, it's like you hear angels singing. It's a beautiful facility. Wasn't always the case.
No, it wasn't. Just 2 years ago, it was derelict, and it's been totally restored.
And
so
I mean, we've seen the pictures. Derelict is maybe too kind.
Yeah.
This was a place hobos went to get murdered, is what it looks like.
It definitely took some imagination when we came through the door the first time to kind of think of what it could be.
Tell me if this is correct, because this is the story I've heard, and sometimes you hear stories and you think, well, that's just too perfect. That can't be really what happened. But this is what I heard, Mark. I heard that you were reading a magazine, and the magazine said, in order for your town to be a hip, cool, happening place, a city that is thriving, you have to have 11 things. And as you were reading the article, you were checking things off, and then you realized there was only one thing missing in Maquoketa.
That's right.
And that thing was?
A brewery.
Well, of course, a brewery. So you obviously had to know something about brewing before you read the article. Please tell me this wasn't something that just came to you thumbing through Reader's Digest.
No, I've been home brewing for about 8 years, so it was something that I had some experience in, and I had just retired from a career in IT, so I had some time on my hands.
But you weren't thinking at some point in my life, I mean, the dream has not always been to open up your own brewery.
It has not, no.
So why are we here, Mark? How did we get to here?
We're here because I love this town, and I'm on the city council, and it's number 11. We needed a brewery.
So Maquoketa now has all 11 things. What are some of the other things?
Good schools and a progressive city council and a lot of, private-public partnerships. I mean, all these things that you kind of think of when you think of a thriving town. So
I would think it would be easy just to say, well, maybe someday there'll be a brewery. That'll be nice, but I'm not going to be the one to do it. But you were the one that had the brewing experience.
Well, yeah, I got tired of waiting for someone else to do it, I guess, because I got thirsty.
So the downtown, I've driven through Maquoketa a bunch. I have to confess I haven't spent a lot of time here. The downtown is something that I imagine both as a city council member and as a resident and someone that's passionate about this town, this is part of a larger plan, right? To make downtown Maquoketa more of a happening place? Right.
The main street was redone in the last 5 years. There's all kinds of incentives to revitalize these buildings, and we've seen just a ton of progress, and there's just a ton happening in Maquoketa.
When you go from home brewer to then somebody who has a brewery, you've got a facility, you had been giving beer to your friends for years and years. Now you have strangers walking off the street and giving you money for the beer. Can you kind of walk me through what that's like?
Well, there was a bit of a learning curve there, kind of the upsizing of everything, right? And then just the whole business aspect of it. But, the whole process is really the same, right? You mash in, you boil, you add the hops, and you ferment. So it's just a bigger scale.
Let's talk about the beer that you make and the styles that you make. I noticed looking at your board, you've got a lot of different styles. You've got some lagers, you've got some IPAs. Walk me through what your process is for the variety that you offer here.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not brewing just for yourself, right? So otherwise it would probably, at least the old me would have been all IPAs or something like that. But we're finding, fruited beers are really popular with a certain segment. People want sours and all that. And it's just a challenge to try to do different styles, You can make a lot of mistakes with a stout and it kind of gets buried in the heaviness of it. But, when you're putting out a lager, you've really got to have everything under control. So we like the challenge.
I imagine there were a lot of people who were just waiting at the door when you opened. They couldn't come in. They couldn't wait to come in. I also imagine that there's a lot of folks who think, gosh, craft beer, that's a bit much. And I know Maquoketa is a thriving metropolis of more than 12,000 people. But I noticed you've got a cream ale. That was probably a very conscious decision to have something that was a little bit more approachable, right?
Right. I mean, we're always got to have those gateway beers. Our Pappy's is kind of our number one seller. It's a blonde ale.
Tell me about Pappy's. What's the recipe there?
So it's basically your standard blonde ale, pretty light, and it's something I've been working on for years. Pappy is one of my neighbors in my neighborhood who's, there's a macro beer that's pretty light in nature that he's a big fan of. And so for years I've been honing this until it was something that he would drink. And
so when you were home brewing, you were trying to make something Pappy would like.
Exactly right.
So that when you opened it, you had Pappy's beer.
Exactly.
How often is Pappy in here?
About once a week.
Pappy
sure.
sounds like somebody you have trouble getting out of here.
No comment.
Okay. Pappy. Watching you, Pappy. The aesthetic of this place, it's, you reclaim the space. It's gorgeous in here. There's also a lot of touches that lead me to believe, Mark, that you've been to a bunch of different breweries. Because there's things that I see here that I haven't seen other places, and they're either Maquoketa Brewing innovations or something you saw somewhere and thought that's good. For example, we have been to, what have we been to, like 500 breweries now? 500 breweries. You've got decks of cards for people just to help themselves and play cards. Now, you see the board games everywhere, but there's cards. That's brilliant.
Yeah, we certainly have been to a lot of breweries. Did a lot of research, but this.
So you're doing research and development when you go to other places.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not saying you plagiarize. What I'm saying is,
Nope.
This place looks like a place that somebody that you'd been to a couple of places when you'd open this place up, because it just looks like you took some of the very best ideas from a bunch of places. I hope you're not taking that the wrong way.
No, that is exactly what we did. The aesthetic in here is exactly what I love in a tap room. There's no televisions. There's, the beer's good. It's just, and it's quiet, and I don't know, it's just, this is kind of what I like. It's like that third space, right? Where home is your first space and work is your second. Everyone needs a third space to go.
Right.
To be in community with others, and that's what we're shooting for here.
Maquoketa Brewing in downtown Maquoketa. It's just, I can't tell you how impressed I am with walking in. I haven't had a beer yet, and I already love this place. I imagine I'll love it a little bit more once I have some beers.
I sure hope so.
Well, let's get to it. Mark, thanks for giving us your time. Thanks for showing us the place. Keep up the good work. And yeah, guys, it's Maquoketa Brewing, not that far away, and completely worth the trip, I promise you. Mark, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What I know about Dyersville is these folks here, they like to drink beer.
They do.
I mean, when you were growing up, were they still doing the St. Patrick's Day parade with the milk cartons full of
yes,
beer?
Yes, and I partook in that quite frequently.
And why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
By the way, don't come here asking for a milk jug full of beer.